shining in every creature, O hidden love, embracing all in oneness, may each who feels himself as one with thee know he is also one with every other.
As customary, we will have the interreligious prayers beginning with the Gayatri Mantra.
Om Bhur Svah Tatsavitur Parenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Diyo Yo Na Prachodayat. Om Bhur Svah Tatsavitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Diyo Yo Na Prachodayat. Om Bhur Svah Tatsavitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Diyo Yo Na Prachodayat. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Asato ma Satgamaya Tamaso ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityoma Amritangamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Have the Zoroastrian prayer by Kashmira Irani.
Hashem vahu vestemasti ustasti ustamai yadeshai vestai Hashem. Yathavaryo athatu shasharishi dashavangevo sasamlingo shatranchai. Aura ayem darikopyo dadat vastarem. Sarosizad merizad nipanama. Hitrista farista ni madat hojoji. May this satsang be blessed with good thoughts, good words, and good deeds.
We now have the Christian prayer by Deepti.
Our Father, who art in heaven,
Louder.
hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us today our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not unto temptation, but deliver us from evil. Amen.
Thank you. We now have the Sikh prayer by Gulu Advani.
एक ओंकार सतनाम करता पुरख निर्भव निर्वैर अकाल मूरत अजोनी सैभं गुर प्रसाद जप आद सच जुगाद सच है भी सच नानक हो से भी सच सोचे सोच न होवै जे सोचे लखवार चुप चुप न होवै जे लाए रहा लिवतार भुखिया भुख न उतरी जे बन्ना पुरिया भार सहस्यारा पालख होवै त एक न चले नाल किव सचियारा होइए किव कूरे टुटे पाल हुक्म रजाई चलना नानक लिखिया नाल वाहिगुरु जी दा खालसा वाहिगुरु जी दी फतेह बोले सो निहाल सत श्री अकाल.
Thank you, Gulu. I now request Deepti to kindly introduce our speaker for today.
Our speaker for today is Gyanu Veena Sateesh. Gyanu Veena Sateesh has always been an outstanding student at Sophia High School and Mount Carmel College. Her love for reading, writing, learning, and communicating led her to become one of the earliest soft skills coaches in the corporate world, both brick and mortar and also infotech. Beginning with Wipro Fluid Power and Wipro Aerospace, now part of Wipro Infrastructure Private Limited, and continuing with CTS, Motorola, Robert Bosch, and others, Veena ma'am, as she was dearly referred to, has been also been a visiting faculty at a number of business management institutions. Recognizing her sincere inclination to be of service to humanity, the Rotary Club of Mysore Midtown invited her to be the first lady Rotarian and later the secretary of Rotary Rotary Bangalore Metro. Always interested in the spiritual and higher aspects of life since childhood, she has faced many health challenges stoically and without fear. A two-time cancer survivor, she has been an inspiration to many facing this challenge. She is presently associated with Cytocare Cancer Hospital as a patient navigator since the past 2.5 years. She has also been associated with the School of Ancient Wisdom since 2003. Welcome once again, Gyanu Veena Sateesh.
Thank you, Deepti. And now it's over to you, Gyanu Veena Sateesh.
Thank you so much. First of all, I'd like to say that if I'm here, it is by the grace of God. Nothing happens in this world without His grace and His blessing. So, fear is something, when you hear the word cancer, it's like the kiss of death. Well, what is fear? We'll just go a little clearly, and I'm not going to be using much jargon. I'll just speak the way it is. Fear is, as we sometimes say, false evidence appears real. But basically, fear has been there from the beginning of time. And what are we afraid of really? First fear we have is the fear of the dark. So you see, humanity, fear of the dark. And why are we afraid of the dark? Because when in the wild, we are afraid of wild animals. Basically, there's a fear of death. Below all fears, there's the fear of death, of being completely annihilated. So, fear of the dark, and well, presently also we are facing a massive fear across the world, right? This COVID has made the whole world understand what fear is. So, I mean, literally live with fear. But earlier on, there was a fear of darkness, fear of death, a fear of wild animals, the fear of suffering basically, you sick or pain or something that's not comfortable, then there's a fear. So now if we look at it with dispassionately, shall we say, or as an observer rather than being involved into the whole process of fear, we understand that certain things will be the cause of it. But if we can understand what fear is all about, and we look at it not as something that can destroy us or harm us or something, but there is something for us to be learnt here. So the simple thing is, how do we remove fear? Remove fear, collect the facts. First of all, what is the facts? Now, let us take a simple thing. We've got this common cold, which is now, I mean, I don't know, it seems to have mutated into the corona. So what are we doing now? And never on such a massive worldwide scale have we seen information being collected, distributed, used, and being put to good and bad use at such a massive scale because of the social media. Never before it's not that things didn't exist, but the way we are getting information and collecting, and see, everybody's waiting to see what is the common things, what are the symptoms, what do we look out for. So what are we looking at? We are looking at facts, and we know that this virus is this way, this way, this way. As it's mutating, we are looking at the different mutations. Very interesting to study genetics, actually, heredity and genetics. So that was one of the subjects we had when we studied BSc, life sciences, at botany and zoology. And the best part is, the law of genetics was discovered by a monk when he was studying peas, the garden peas. So you had the dominant, you had he came to that recessive gene, the dominant gene, and so on. So a lot of interesting things have been happening since then. And well, coming to my cancer, and after some time, feel free to interact. You remember when we fell in school, they used to put us, or school when we were children, they used to put us that red tincture called mercurochrome. That was not so bad. But when they put the tincture iodine, it used to sting so badly that we used to run away from that. It was a mustardy color kind of tincture, and literally I used to run away from that. And I was a great one for falling, hurting my knees. In fact, there were stones once. Later on, the doctor pulled it out in my knees, my elbow, and so on. More of a tomboy. And I remember the way it used to sting, because after he pulled out the stone and the wound or whatever would be a little deep, and then he would literally clean it out and then apply the tincture, the doctor. And oh, it was very, very painful. And the fear of that sting would make me run away from it. That's why that stone was there for a long time. Couple of stones in my elbow and my knees and so on. My mother used to literally, oof, I used to tear my dresses because I was such a tomboy, climb trees, jump down and so on. So that fear of that tincture used to make me run away. And my first hospitalized experience was in school. I must have been around 12 or so, and I had a tonsil, kept on getting these tonsils infected. In those days, there was no such thing, simply, okay, it's not really necessary, cut it off. So I was supposed to go in for a tonsillectomy. Now, maybe I was one of the earliest to have this surgery by what is known as cryosurgery, that is freezing and cold, so the bleeding is less and so on. And you say the word operation in those days, and that was like, oof. Like, I remember that the doctor, after a week, one day I was in the hospital, and that day my father hated this hospitals, but he was one of the earliest kidney transplants also. But that day, when I was in hospital, St. Philomena's, with after having undergoing the tonsillectomy, he was a smoker to start with, but that day, I think in the space of the 2 hours, till I could get back to being conscious, he must have smoked and discarded more than 100 cigarettes. Because when he came back and they said, okay, she's gained consciousness, said, eat as much ice cream as you can, that will heal it faster. I didn't know it's for healing, but they just eat as much ice cream as you can, so delightful. And when he saw that I was okay, the look on his face was, oof, fear, everywhere fear. And then that tonsillectomy was my first experience of being hospitalized. Now, of course, they don't remove the tonsils. They know that every part of the body is needed, except perhaps appendix, or only if it gets septic. And when it's absolutely beyond the medication, do they remove a part of the body. So that was my first hospital experience. I remember Daddy said I went round and round and round in the car to Philomena's hospital round, and then only I came back. We think, we think mothers, as mothers and as women, we go through this fear of that contractions during the delivery when we have our children. But I know that fathers and husbands and men also have that fear, and the way they pace around, and well, there's no human being who does not feel or go through phases of fear. So these are some of those things. And I remember, I must have been, I just got married, and my son was not even born, I think. He had just born, I think. So I am very fond of reading a lot and writing poems, and I written a poem when I was 21. He was just born. I had come out of this fear of, the introspection on this question of fear, and they were developing all those huge missiles and stuff, and Cold War and Russia and America and so on. And I realized that the fear is so much, but look at the size of the weapons. That shows the size of the fear we are carrying. We carry such huge fears. They had to develop these huge things, which was a bulwark against fear. And I thought, in the end, it won't be the big things that destroy the world. And I literally have that poem somewhere. in my old notes. And I said, it won't be the big things that destroy us. It will be the small things. And see, today it's proving to be actually happening like that. It's the small things that are destroying us, all these microscopic kind of things. Some kind of instinct is there. I have some kind of sixth sense or something you could call it, probably, because there is a lot of religious, spiritual feeling in my family, both parents, because father lost his parents by the time he was 12 and mother was very spiritual. So then, I mean, the size of the fear equals the size of the missile. So I was thinking, heavens, human beings are afraid of each other. Just look at the way we are going. Then also one thing came to me, that the positive encourages the positive. The negative encourages the negative. So since I believe that we are all going to the same, this so-called reaching God or the heights of spirituality, and I've always been fascinated by Buddha, Gautama Buddha. He was a prince, he was a living man, he had everything, a beautiful wife, a palace, all the comfort. And one day, he just left everything and came away. How many of us can just leave everything and go away? We all have this fear, oh, we'll be insecure, we won't have anything. We will be in even whether it was Rama and Sita, poor things, they went to the forest, and in the story they said she made rotis out of grass and so on, and these three people living in the jungle without haircuts, without, that's why they've got their hair all piled up. But they did, no? See, they went without fear, and Gautama Buddha said that everything is not outside, it's within us. So I used to introspect a lot on this fear and pain. I wanted to be a surgeon and a doctor because I didn't like anybody suffering in pain. And I thought as a doctor I could relieve the pain. But what we are doing is relieving the symptoms. We are relieving it's not a permanent kind of pain. Physical pain is not a permanent pain. And after some time I was, diagnosed with thyroid. And that's another one that brought on a lot of introspection. And then it wasn't even easy. Today it's a blood test, you do T3, T4, TSH, and they know you. And then even as you're pregnant, they start, even before that you have symptoms, this. We have a lot of information, so we can deal with any disease, unease, anything that is uncomfortable, and what we feel, we don't want to suffer. So there's so much of information, and there's so much of treatment available, so much awareness which was not there before. So when you think about it, when I think about it, I used to introspect a lot on these things. So, I didn't become a doctor, but then, life takes us on paths which are most unexpected. And one of them was cancer. It was to 1999, Diwali over, and like this is Christmas season. In fact, 26th was the day I went to get my mammography done or check out. We do this Diwali cleaning and all, and one of those cartons fell on my chest, and I thought, okay, this seems to be a clot. I'm a diabetic. I've been a diabetic since 40 years now, and the thyroid also was diagnosed then. So over 40 years dealing with thyroid, hypothyroidism, and diabetes, and so on. So I thought maybe it's a clot, and as a diabetic, these things don't dissolve, and it's just internal. So I was giving it a lot of fermentation and so on. It was the size of a wheat grain, small thing on the side, on the left side, on the side of it. Then something kept me feeling very uneasy. I kept feeling very uneasy about this. Something, it's not, if it's a clot, it ought to dissolve or something. But there was a pain, there was a kind of constant throbbing pain. And then instead of being afraid, I thought, all right, let me go. Baptist hospital is close by. And they were, of course, Christmas holidays, so nobody was doing much over there. So I said, okay, next day, a day after Christmas on the 26th, I went on 1999. And then they checked it out and they said, let's do a mammography. Then they did the mammography. And they said, are you feeling pain? I said, yes. Well, if it's painful, it's generally not malignant. It's not cancer. Okay. So they said, you go back home. They did something called a needle biopsy, fine needle aspiration, something they call it. And they did it 2 times, and that is not a very conclusive test, but they did it 2 times. It's a 50-50 kind of iffish kind of thing. Said no, nothing has shown up. None of the malignant cells are malignant, and so on. You can go home. So I went home January, and then a friend suggested actually, why don't you try homeopathy, because many of these things do dissolve with homeopathy. So 1 month or so, 2 months, I tried homeopathy, and it felt a little stable, the pain was a little less. Then something in my mind said, listen, you are a science graduate and you want to be a doctor, and if you try stuff which is not really proven to that extent, why don't you go for logically do what is the accepted thing today in these days, and go check it out tomorrow. If see, son was married but daughter wasn't yet married, so she was still in the final year of college at that time. So the thing was, logically, what would you do? Go through the known way where you can see. So all right, I went back to the hospital and they did another mammography, and this time it was like I felt it growing. This is not this doesn't make sense. So they did another mammography. Mammographies are pretty painful, by the way, mammograms. But anyway, so they did it again, and it had grown too, from the size of a wheat grain to the size of a very large pea, roughly, a large pea, one of those large peas. And there was pain. The area around the heart, there was a hard core, and the area around it was also dense. So then they said, well, for all this is, we'll have to do a biopsy. Then only we'll know for sure what it is. Because this pain is usually not malignant. That's why it's called a silent killer, like many of these BPs and sugars and all the rest of it is all silent killers. I said, fair enough. So they scheduled me for, I think, 7th of February 2001 for a lumpectomy. That's an outpatient procedure. You come in the morning, we'll remove the lump, and you can go home by 3 or 4 o'clock, local anesthesia and so on. Fair enough, lump was out. I went home. They had put in these sutures through some kind of plastic nylon wire or something. They called it a thick one. And being a diabetic, then they said come back after a week. And we didn't have cell phones and all. Just the cell phones came in a little later. So then only landline. They were trying to get me by the landline. They sent it for the biopsy anyway. We'll send it for a biopsy and so on. So then they were trying to reach me by landline, but my son took me to his home. So there, then I developed a rash around the area of the sutures. So I said, let's go on Monday. I told my son, let's go on Monday. You drop me at the hospital and you get to work. I'll get back on my own. So when I went there, they were looking at me with like aghast. I said, what? I mean, I didn't like the faces. They were looking, there was a lot of fear there. And, they said, oh, we've been trying so desperately to get in touch with you, and we were not able to get in touch with you. I said, okay, now what? Well, the result is negative. Now that we've disturbed the site, we don't want any of those cells traveling anywhere into your brain or anywhere else. We need to do a radical surgery, which means remove it from the roots. Okay, so what? Now what? And then they said we'll have to remove the whole organ, and that will be a major surgery, and you have to come back as soon as possible. And then I called my brother. I said, this I was not expecting. My brother had some idea because his mother-in-law was staying with them. She had jawbone cancer at that time. She's been staying with them for quite some time. So he had been, in touch with all the cancer doctors and so on. He's always been there when he's 8 years younger, but then any health issue or anything where we need support, help, he's always there. I have to bless this boy and I say boy, but he's a senior citizen himself now. So you see, then I called up and I said, this is what's happened. And then he said, you didn't tell me you had going for a lumpectomy. I said, it's only a lumpectomy. What's the big deal? So then he said, no, okay, you be there. I'm coming. For 2 seconds, my brain just shut down. And then when it started working, I called my brother, and there was another helping hand volunteer who knows me very well because of me, Ramesh, and we had all done the forum together in the same batch, and he was there. At least he was one of the volunteers. So he said, no, this can't be true, not for you. I said, this is the result. Now they can't, science can't be lying. So this is the thing. So then my brother came in and he listened to the whole thing. We heard it, and well, we didn't tell our mother. I didn't tell my daughter. I didn't tell anybody. My son, of course. But he was having a lot of buyers that time. He worked for a garment exporter. And so, well, what do we do next? So brother said, all right, let's not, I told them, don't, they generally put a block and then they make the slides. No, I said, please don't dispose of all my samples and so on. Keep those specimens. And I don't want, please just keep it for me. So then when after the radical surgery also, then before the radical surgery actually, then brother said, let's go for a second opinion. Let's not rush into this. Internet was there at that time. Just come in. Internet means email, not the social media as we know it now. That was 20 years ago. So only email. So Oh, mother. So, the thing was, all right, we'll wait. No need to hurry. The earth won't fall. The sky won't fall. I mean, the earth won't split open. The sky won't fall. And we went. We went and took the slides from them, and from Baptist Hospital, went and checked it out. Second opinion, same result. And then he said, okay, we'll talk to the doctor. The other doctor also said the same thing, the same steps and the procedure at the Bangalore Institute of Oncology, what is now called. So then we said, well, what do we do? So next Tuesday, exactly Thursday, I think, Thursday to Thursday. Next Thursday was a scheduled radical surgery. That evening, we called my daughter. We said, from school, come straight to Nanima's house. And then my brother, my son, everybody, all of us, we sat down, and my mother was listening quietly. She was a petite thing, small. In fact, when we went out together, they thought she was my younger sister. Sajani knows my sister Jyoti. They were classmates in college. My mother was pretty petite, so she just listened quietly. And then when we told them that this is what has happened, this, everything, and now the result is this, and she has to go in for a major surgery, and the treatment goes like this. Nowadays, they do the chemo first and then they do the radiation. In my time, they did the radiation first and then they did the chemo. A lot of things have changed. Again, social media or whatever it is, a lot of information sharing has been happening, and there are a lot of support groups. There's beautiful things happening nowadays, and I see the state of the art treatment happening at site care. Oh, it's so much more different and so much more comfortable compared to 21 years ago. So then, well, fair enough. My daughter got frightened. I said, no, don't get frightened. She looked at us all being calm, and my mother just said, okay, what did the doctor say? What do we have to do next? That set the tone. See, positive. There is a disease, there are doctors, there is medication. So I literally breathed my fear out. I breathed a big sigh of relief. And if a mother can give me this instruction, then I have nothing to fear. So very plucky. And maybe because of that, all of us sisters and brothers, we kind of face things without kind of buckling down. Of course, we have to go through a lot of stuff, but this is the example we've had both from both our parents. My father had a kidney transplant, like I said. He had passed away by the time all this happened to me. But he was only 57 when he passed away, and my mother had seen him through this. He was pretty highly diabetic. Both he and the brother, male seemed to have it in our family. And she had seen him through this whole thing. And then, those huge injections have to be sterilized and all that. Now it is much, much more simple, even looking after diabetes. So, well, so then that sent the tone. Then the surgery happened, and then I have this inherent dislike for that hospital bed. That thing puts me off. The sight of those hospital beds with those, it just puts me off. So the surgery was happened, and then they my brother came in, and my mother used to sit with me during the day in the hospital because daughter was at college, and son, everybody else had to get to their work. So mommy would bring lunch and be there, and evening daughter would come and stay overnight. So my brother came and told the doctor, I didn't know this, all this they told me later. Said, don't expect this woman, this lady to be sitting on that bed. She is not going to be like your usual patient. So, well, they have that little thing with a drain where they measure the amount of bleeding, and then, I kind of lost a lot of blood, and I had to get two units of blood transfused that my daughter-in-law organized. And my daughter used to come and stay in the night. And I used to walk up to the chapel. They have a chapel there in Baptist. The surgery also happened in Baptist. I used to walk up to the chapel. I used to go to the toilet by myself. I don't want that bedpan. That nothing that really I very strongly dislike is that wretched bedpan. So I was going to the loo by myself, everything as much as possible. And I even told them I don't want a painkiller after this major. No, my healing will be slow because everything with a hypothyroidism or everything is like on low voltage, everything goes slow. I said, I don't want that painkiller. If it's really unbearable, I will tell you. And somehow I understand that pain is something, the body is saying that something good is happening, is giving it attention, the area that's painful, and you have to understand something from that. It's a message actually. So if, like I said, when I was feeling the pain for the lump, I felt uneasy. But this was a healing pain. No, this helps. Of course, it's painful. And there is a fear. The fear is there. But then that leads you where? And suppressing it and taking painkillers only slows down the process of healing is what I feel generally. And as a diabetic, we understand that we are not to take too much of painkillers and so on. So fair enough, I told them I don't want that injection. But then the next day, the surgery happened and I was in the ward and I told her, but the nurse said, no, they've written it here, I must give it to you. So that was the only night I took one, she gave me one injection of Novalgin. Next day I said, I don't want painkillers. Then as usual, the doctors come on their rounds and check out and so on. And I noticed that one doctor some came in the morning and some came in the evening. I thought maybe they are on the usual rounds. One doctor, I said, you came in the morning and now you've come again. So he says, no, we are twins. My brother's a surgeon and I'm an anesthesiologist. Okay, so how does an anesthesiologist come to check me out? Then he said, we've heard downstairs in the doctor's room that there's a lady here who's had a major surgery and she says she doesn't want a painkiller. So we were very curious. We all want to see who this lady is. Oh dear. Well, anyway, that was it. So 8 days in the hospital, then 1 month with my mother. They told us exercises. There's a lot of bloating in the arm because they removed all the nodes, and when they removed the nodes, they had to cut the a nerve, and so my triceps muscle, the thing, it kind of, till now it kind of, there's no feeling. I can, can literally do this and no feeling, and this whole thing was bloated because the lymph nodes swell up, and till today I have to keep exercising. So the thing was to drain the nodes and not let the fluid collect there. So they gave me some exercises. They said you have to do this, and they were watching to see what I do. And to raise the arm was a little difficult like this, Now I'm doing it, but then it was very difficult. So I had to push my arm up and keep it up and do that. So all those exercises, whatever they told me, I did. I just followed what they said. Of course, they're saying with some experience and so on. And then after that 1 month or so, again went and the stitches were removed and the rest of it. So then they said, see, I mean, we don't have much I was telling them, please put me in touch with other people who've gone through this so that I can talk to them and get some information and understand what happens. But unfortunately, nobody was willing to speak. And then my son was checking on the internet. He found a teacher. So he said, Mom, you're a teacher and here's another teacher. The husband had some leg cancer in the leg and she had a similar case like mine. And the line of treatment was similarly the same. The medications were similar. So we felt a bit reassured. Here was information and something to check out. So, well, then he said, well, we don't have much in Baptist. We don't have radiation. Now, of course, there's a big cancer unit which Kiran Mazumdar Shaw has put in. My daughter is also a Kiran. So it wasn't there then. So they said, see, for radiation, we suggest you go to Ramaya's because they've got a good unit and they're doing some research as well. So you need to go through this 25 fractions, they call it, Monday to Friday, so 5 weeks. And after that, you can go for chemo. Now we checked out. I wasn't feeling very good with the doctors at Ramaya's for chemo, but this particular department, it's a radiology or nuclear something department, and they did this. And generally, we found even in Bangalore Institute of Oncology, there were crowds of people waiting for their radiations. So then we decided, well, I'd rather go to Ramaya's because then I go early in the morning. I'll be one of the first few patients. I get the time and the doctor's attention. I get the correct amount of time, and so I would take my radiation and get back to work. That only 1 month I didn't go after the surgery because it had to heal. And I would go to get my radiation and then I went back to work. Simple. And then my blood count again went down, and then my brother used to get me fresh, something to help my blood count go up. I'm very fond of greens anyway. So we did everything that was needed to keep the blood count up because even before the radiation, they do a zillion tests, the whole long list of blood tests they do to check out. And even before the chemo, now everything has become compacted, and of course they still do the CBC, complete blood count, and so many other things before the chemo. And so 5 weeks of radiation happened, and then I decided that I didn't feel very confident about any other place. I went and checked out the government hospital as well, Kidwai. We carry this impression that government hospitals are dirty, horrible, this, that, and agreed, because there's such a crowd of people, and most of them are, basically from villages and outlying areas and so on. But I found that they have so much experience and exposure. They know that stuff very well. They know what they're doing. I had a very strict doctor, medical oncology, and she said, "Why did you have to go and remove your breast? We could have saved it." I didn't have that information. See, no information, wrong decision. I wish I'd known. I said I should have gone there first. Now I think, but well. So then we did this, and then she said, you have two choices. One is once a fortnight into 6 months, that would be 12 chemos, or you take 4, which is 21, one each at the end of 21 days. But that is a bit strong. It could affect your liver and your heart. So we'll be doing the ECGs before before each chemo. You have to come in a day before and do the rest of it. All those tests, give your blood and so on. So I have to go a day before. And you know, the way they would extract blood, all these people in the hospital, the guys at the testing lab, very smooth, no pain, so nice. I was surprised. I thought government hospitals are always known for being botched up and that, this and all. It was pretty good. And well, I used to say, thank you very much. And they were surprised that a patient comes in without, you know, shivering, getting scared and so on. I said, well, you just do it. You know, just let's go through with it. And I saw a lot of other people, little children in the children's block running about. They take the chemo. They don't know, so they run about. I said, why don't I be like this? Let me be like this child, leave myself in the hands of God and forget everything, take my treatment and get on with life. So 2 chemos went, and I think it was the last. We were handing over ISTD. We were handing over to the new committee that Saturday. I had just had my chemo on the Friday. I used to go on Friday for the chemo, Saturday, Sunday at home, and Monday back to work. Work was like therapy for me. I would happily, I mean, I would forget about all the rest of it, just concentrate on my work. So after meeting, I felt some pricking kind of thing in my head, on my scalp, and that was the second chemo. After the second chemo, Friday. And when I went home, I said, all right, let me change and, you know, freshen up. I combed my hair and all my hair came out in one big chunk into my hands. They told me you lose hair, but 2 chemos, I hadn't lost hair. This happened after the 3rd chemo. I had a good laugh that day. I felt so sad to see my hair in my hands, but at the same time, I was laughing and laughing. I said, oh, this is really extraordinarily different. Here's my hair, so I kept it. I've still got my hair, my long, thick hair, and I still had a few strands left. Well, now what do I do? Most people really shave it off. Some people, well, I left those strands. I would cover my head with a dupatta. And some of the people said, what happened? I mean, you've got only few. Oh, I'm going through chemo. Then they would look at you like as if, oh, the word cancer was enough to give you the fear of God. Oof. And very often I looked at their faces. They are feeling more fear than me. I am going through the treatment. And why are they feeling afraid? And my daughter bought me a nice pair of earrings as a gift. Mama, cheer up. Cute little earring she bought for me. So even at that shop, a little girl looked at me, and then we just said, she just said, why is the head like that? And my daughter just said, she's got cancer. The little girl ran away. I said, now I'm not going to tell anybody anything. What happened to your hair? I must have used the wrong hair oil or something, and it's all fallen. It'll come back. I said, kept quiet. I went through the whole treatment. Then the 3rd chemo, the ECG came abnormal. The ECG came abnormal, and the doctor said, well, now what do you suggest? He said, all right, we'll do an echocardiogram. And for that, I had to go to Jayadeva. That was also another place to go. Each time, you know, there was only ultrasound scans and this radioactive thing for the bones to see that it doesn't come onto the bone and so on. But the CT scan also wasn't there that year. I think it came in a little later. So, well, now we have to go. So I used to go and get that echocardiogram. She saw that and then she said, I think we can manage. We'll push you through. You just eat well, keep yourself strong, and let the muscles, the heart muscles, need to be nourished and so on. And you don't eat spice and all those things. Anyway, I was avoiding because it's very difficult after radiation. You know, it's uncomfortable. So I was on curd rice and greens for 2 years. No salt because of the bloating of the thyroid. No sugar because I'm a diabetic. No spice. Great fun. You eat food as it is naturally. Learn to appreciate the natural taste of many things, even Karela. I used to eat a lot of lime and a lot of curd. So that taught me that the joy of eating is for being healthy. And you learn to taste things as they are, the way God made them. And each one has a unique taste. Each food, each vegetable, each whatever, you know, everything has its own unique taste. And so the echoes came 4 chemos over, then regularly had to go. Then the CT scan came and keep checking. And they used to tease me at the hospital. Even if it's a son's wedding, you're not to miss a chemo. You're not to miss a scan. You have to keep coming. Okay. That process went on for nearly 4 years. And then in the meanwhile, other people told me, listen, most people's survival rate is about 4.5, 5 years. Most people don't seem to last after that. Among a few relatives also, this thing came up. So I said, fine, this is 2001. From February to roughly October, November, I think, it completed my chemos. And then I said, well, how much time do I have? In the meanwhile, my daughter completed her graduation, got a job, and she said, Mama, don't worry, you got to fund yourself. I've got this job. She would just keep enough for a boiled butta outside the college and petrol for her bike. She had a two-wheeler little small bike called Hero Puck, a 50cc bike, a geared bike. And don't worry, she would just keep that much money and give me the rest of it. Well, then she was working and I was going through this whole business, and then I continued to work. Of course, work was good. I still enjoy working. And then the CT came in, and okay, now 4 years. In the meanwhile, 2003, she met a nice person. They worked together and they decided to get married. So I said, all right. Much as, I mean, I wasn't very keen on her getting married too soon. She's very, very childlike and absolutely guileless, I should say. So, well, anyway, the wedding happened. We managed to see the wedding through. And just as predicted, 2005, I had see, we all have this instinct, but if we are only lost in the pain, we don't listen to our body. We have to understand that it's saying something. So I was getting this funny feeling. And then actually another student said, listen, ma'am, in Satya Sai Baba Hospital in Whitefield, you please come, we've got this new machine. That was the earliest PET CT scan kind of thing. And they did, he said, listen, ma'am, if you have to go by the usual way, they don't charge because they're doing a lot of research, being funded. But if you wait, it'll take you 6 months. Now I said, 6 months is a bit funny. I don't want to wait for so long because it's already time and 5 years nearly coming to an end. So I went, and when they did that, it turned out that there were little small things cropped up at the base of my, back of my head here and the trachea and so on. And luckily, it hadn't yet not got into the lungs and so on. It was less than centimeter. They call it sub-centimeter. So I went back to the doctor. She looked at the whole thing and she said, well, we'll have to put you on chemo again. And now you very strictly keep your sugar in control. Till then I was managing with tablets. Now I went on to, she said, go on to insulin and keep checking very, very strictly, keep the sugar in control. So there I am. I've learned to inject myself with the insulin and learn to adjust it and manage it and keep it down. And there was another treatment going on. And here I must pay my thanks to Ma Manize, because like a Parsi, they don't want to be, she didn't want me to say this out, but she helped me out with 2 of my treatments. It was a bit expensive, this part. I said, I don't want those intravenous chemos. Please, is there something else? He said, there is this other tablet, but it's expensive. 500 rupees a tablet, packets of 28. You need to take this for quite some time. Till then, there was another one called tamoxifen. The tamoxifen, they stopped. And she said, why don't we start this? This was also another one by AstraZeneca. She co-funded 2 months of treatment for me. So I am very grateful to her. That was pure love. I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but it appears she had also been through something, but she went for some Ayurvedic treatment and so on. A healer from the Himalayas. And so she said, don't worry, I'll pray for you. And you are also like a child of mine. And you go through this without thinking too much. Just don't be afraid. And I broke down. First time in this so many years, I broke down when she gave me that hug, and I broke down. And so then, of course, 2008, my granddaughter was born. I chucked up because my daughter went through a very difficult delivery. I said, okay, I was doing very well in my work, but then I thought, this is more important. And this little thing was so tender and small and delicate. I said, no, this is more important. Life is more important than money. So I gave up my job. I looked after and this treatment went on. 2009, in between I had to keep going for these PET CT scans, and it's more than the medication. It's that dye that they give you, which causes an allergy and which is a bit painful. They give you a dye so that the scans come out clear. And in the PET CT scan, it shows up a PET scan. It shows up where any part of the body, full body scan, it shows up. If there's cancer anywhere, it shows up. So, well, then around somewhere around 2009 and towards 2010, that's now it's coming on to 10 years of treatment. The scans came clear. One scan came clear and another scan. So the doctor said, now we'll discontinue the medication and then we'll take a couple of scans and see what happens. So we discontinued the medications, and then I had to be very tight with the sugars. So after that, the scans came clear. I think around 2000. By the time all this happened, it became, by the time we waited and took the scans, it was somewhere around 2008, 11, 12, I think 2012 or 13. All the scans came clear, and she said, all right, stop the medication, stop everything. You're clear now. Go live. 2 words she said, go live. From that very strict lady, this was very odd, for her to say, go live. Very strict she was. And most people are very scared of this doctor. Then she knew her job. She knew her work. And somehow, in spite of that strict facade, I knew that she kind of liked treating me because I looked at it very logically. And well, so from till now, with the grace of God, and let us say a little bit of accepting and trying to be positive more for the sake of my children. I don't know, when my surgery happened and they removed, it was a radical surgery. My daughter said, Mama, you're not going to die, no? I said, no, I'm not going to die. I'm going to be here till 93. I'll irritate you, I'll irritate your children and your grandchildren. I don't know why I said 93, but that's what came out. So anyway, till today, till now, God has been kind. And recently I went through a bit of cellulitis, which was a bit of a scare, of course, again another fear. Of course, now the body is different. That was 50, this is 70, 71. So the body has taken so much. Now I can't overdo it. I can't be overly careless. So that was another scare. And of course, it's COVID and all this. So okay. So that is the sum and substance of the whole thing. I thought, let me put fear aside. Let me work without fear. And God has been kind. Everything has been going as well as it could. So thank you all very much for listening to me. If anybody wants to ask questions and so on, you're welcome.
Thank you so much, Gyanu, for sharing this personal story of yours. And thanks a lot. And we would like some questions. So let me ask the audience. Would you like to ask Gyanu any questions? Kindly unmute yourself and ask. Or put it in the chat box.
I'd just like to say a small thing. See, we have this custom of changing our name, after getting a new name after we get married. So most people through school and college in Bangalore know me as Gyanu. And later on, most of them know me as Veena Sateesh. So that's how I'm Gyanu Veena Sateesh. So, well, welcome. Please ask questions.
More
than
than a question, looking at you, nobody can say I've gone through this suffering, this
yes,
much of, and I really, so much I came to know. And one of the finest periods I want to share with the participants is when you were the secretary of ISTD and set so many new trends, and I never knew you were going through this challenge at that
yes,
time.
I was still going through
when you were
treatment at that time. That's a fact.
And would you like to say something about what gave you so much courage? And you never asked why me, usually those questions, and you never, felt self-pity or anything like that?
I'll just say this. I am human. There were times when I felt, why me? Why this? Why now? When I was just about to say, okay, let me start an institute, something. But then, the universe gives you a quiet answer. Quietly, I was just sitting and doing my meditation, and the answer was, you can't, there are no answers to some questions. You just have to go through it, and there's something for you to learn here. So you keep learning, and that's something I just love, learning, learning never ends. I feel there's so much to learn. There's so much to learn from nature. So there's still so much to learn. And what I learned was what is meant for us comes to us. What is not meant for us will not come, whether it's money or anything, suffering, joy, anything. But if we take it as part of life or existence, and well, of course, I had a lot. All my brothers and sisters and all my family, friends, wonderful people I've had, good friends, including you and Miss Malti. So let's say the universe itself was sending me these little messages, and I used to come to the satsang also, no? And every time on our Thursday meetings, there was so much that was said there, and so much to be understood, so much unsaid which is to be understood. So many things are not, you cannot put into words. You just accept and understand, and then till today I say, thank you God for keeping me here. There is something that you want me to do, so direct me to where I have to go. So that led me to site care hospitals. There we are. I went to, I just thought like helping hand, if there's something happening, good. But then I thought, anybody that wants to ask for information, if you have information, you can make an informed decision. So now I don't hesitate. I share. Sometimes, of course, it does come back, and sometimes that whole experience is a little difficult to recall. I mean, it's not very I don't want to recall it with a negative feeling, but if it's going to be make somebody else's life a little better, then yes. Many people do feel that when I look at you, you're always cheerful, smiling, and so on. And then we also lose our fear, because there are lots of cancer patients, only cancer. So to that extent, I'm very happy to be helpful. Anybody who needs to talk to me, welcome. Please give them my number. I would love to share. Yes. So any other questions?
I'm in a dilemma now. I don't know how to describe this program because it was on one side it was great, and another side, I don't know. Sajani was good thinking in asking you to speak. It was so much revelation and profound wisdom for all of us. So what's going to be the title of the book? Go Live or Fear?
I haven't yet thought of the title. If anybody could put out some suggestions, it would be good. I've got my rough notes. In fact, I put a lot of stuff into a laptop, but then that battery died, so I have to rewrite the whole thing. So that is why I'm asking for this recording, so that at least chronologically and otherwise, I can recall the whole thing, and then it may become easier and better for other people who are going through this journey to face it without fear, shall we say? Not with courage, I would say, but without fear. So
yes, certainly.
I would love to have that recording.
Thank you.
Swati?
Thank you all so much.
Please connect with her and tell her about the recording. Okay, Swati? Okay. Anyone else would like to ask questions?
It's recorded. I'll just share with her.
Any interaction also, I'm welcome. Not necessarily question. Any interaction, you're welcome.
Veena ji, I just want to thank you for sharing this beautiful journey that you've had with so much of difficulty and so much of input that you've given us. It's amazing, so frankly, and portion by portion you have shared. This sharing is, I think, your inner strength which you have. You can hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you. Yes.
You can hear me?
Absolutely, I can hear you. I can hear you. I don't know if you can hear me. Can you all hear me?
Hear you.
Yeah,
Yes.
Okay.
I see a Daisy.
Could you hear
and
me?
Daisy missed. Yes, I could hear you. Please continue. I have a feeling she's now I can't hear her.
On mute, I think. Is there anyone else who would like to share anything? Ask questions?
Hello, you can hear me?
We can hear you.
Yes, I can hear
Go
you.
ahead.
We can hear you, Meena. I can hear you. I think somewhere hers is going off.
Having a problem.
I cannot hear her now. Yeah.
Okay, is there anyone else who wants to ask a question? Anybody?
Yeah, I want to say something, Saju.
Kashmira?
Yeah. Hats off to you for going to Kidwai, because I, like you, really believe in the government hospitals. So I do admire your courage of going there,
Your
finding that it was
voice is
possible.
very faint, Kashmira. We're not able to hear you very clearly.
I can hear you. I can hear you, Kashmira.
I can hear
I
you
think
as
you
well.
were also one of our college mates.
Yeah, I was from Mount Carmel's.
Jyoti's
no, I
sister,
just
Cashew. Jyoti
Sorry?
Talwani's sister. Jyoti was our classmate.
Okay. Small world, small world.
Yeah.
So I do admire you coming out and saying that, you really found Kidwai and the doctor's great over there, because that's how I feel.
Yes.
And good luck, and I'm sure your journey will be a wonderful one.
You know what I did? I would take my own bed sheets, the bed sheet on the bed, put another bed sheet of my own, come home, dump the whole lot into Dettol water, and there we are. We managed. Government hospital.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you.
Can
Yes,
you
Meena,
hear
I can
me?
hear you.
Yes, Meena,
Yes,
we
Meena,
can
I
hear
can
you.
hear you.
You can put it in the chat box, your question. Meena, kindly type in the chat box. Okay, anyone else with questions or comments? Anybody else? No, I don't think so. So with that, then we have come to the end of this program. Thank you so much, Veena Gyanu. And now I request Ramesh to propose a vote of thanks and end with the Loka Samasta. We need the Loka Samasta for all the people all over the globe with, what's going on.
Yes, now more than ever. Now more than ever.
Exactly. So a vote of thanks by Ramesh and the Loka Samasta.
Thank you, Sajani. So what can I say? Veena's been a
I
very
know Ramesh from 95, I think. We did that
97.
forum, remember? And that was Jansari who was at the hospital the day I got that news.
Oh, I see. My goodness. Anyway,
Jansari, who is,
I see.
Kusum Jansari's father.
Sansari.
Yeah. Yeah.
Louder, Ramesh.
Okay. Am I audible now?
Yes, yes.
Yes. So, as I was saying, Veena is an old friend of mine from 97 when we did the forum together. And I've seen her through her ups and downs. In fact, I didn't know too much about her downs because I was away in the UK for a while. And but I can tell you this much that the first time I met Veena, she was sitting right next to me in the forum, the last day of the forum. And I was thinking, oh my goodness, I've got an old lady for a partner to share with. Because in the forum, you have to partner with your neighbor and you share your life and you share their sharing. But then at the moment she opened her mouth, I suddenly realized that here's a person who's really very young at heart. She's got that joie de vivre, and she's got that ability to connect with anybody. You don't even perceive her as an elderly person, but rather as a friend who's also got a lot of presence and who's got a lot of self-confidence and a very big warm heart. So whatever I of course heard thing. I mean, in the satsang today, I heard certain aspects of her journey that I didn't hear from her directly earlier. But to sum it up, Veena, this is what I got from your session. That you mentioned that various fears affect man right from the beginning.
Yes,
From,
yes.
from when we are a child, or right from the beginning when human beings came to be, and be it fear of wild animals or darkness, illness or death, fear has been prevalent as a part of humanity to protect us and also, of course, to challenge us and help us to grow and become better people. So, Veena was also talking about how to remove fear. That was very useful, Veena. I mean, you mentioned first collect the facts. When you say it like that, and especially after the experience you've gone through, it really makes an impact because when you collect the facts and you really work at strengthening your mind with that determination, things start becoming clearer. What was unknown and feared starts becoming known and addressable, So what I perceived in your entire story, as I'm sure all of us would have, is that if one stays positive every time you feel you can't go on, then you overcome the hurdle. The key is to stay positive. And knowing Veena, and I'm sure all of you would have also experienced by now, there's a certain childlike, quality in her, and that is a really remarkable quality that inspires all of us, even as we age. In fact, many of my friends who are older than my parents, the quality that they all share is the ability to keep the child within them alive. That gives us quick access to happiness, and that ability will also help us bounce back quicker and more easily. And really, I think, Veena, another thing that stands out is your courage. Even though you might not have spoken with some a loud bravado, but the sheer nonchalance with which you have tossed away these very serious hurdles, health issues that I've seen many other people have also gone through, but their reaction has been completely different. I mean, they've fallen and they've been broken, and they just feel that they don't want to go on with life. And when you told your daughter that I probably will live to 92 or 93, and that was really something. I mean, I do hope we have you with us for
Yeah,
another good healthy 20
I hope
years.
I'm helpful. The whole idea is to be helpful. So
Oh, you
anybody
definitely
going through
are.
this, yeah.
You definitely are. I know that Veena has been empowering so many people in her life, as a coach as well. So really, hats off to you, Veena, and thank you so much for sharing that with us. Because really, I think that puts us in touch with these aspects of life, like courage and the being childlike and staying positive. That is useful for all of us, and it is very important for us to revisit that aspect of ourselves to empower ourselves. On that note, let us all sit straight with our back, neck, and head aligned. Take a deep breath and let go. Let go of all the human anarthas, be it lust, anger, greed, envy, jealousy, pride, fear. Just let go of it all. Be aware the divine is with us, whether we know it or not. And that divine is always empowering us, always ready to extend a helping hand. Just take one step forward, and that divine will take 100 steps towards us. From that space, let us pray for all those around us, our loved ones, our community members, the country, the world. Let us send out healing in this time of new challenges, new COVID-related challenges, and other challenges too. It's time for a resurrection of maybe the Sattvic around the world, and it is happening through these difficult times. A beautiful new time is coming ahead, is what we all understand. So let us join hands together and our hearts together as we do this Loka Samasta. Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Tat Sat Brahmarpanamastu. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you, Veena.
Thank you
Welcome.
and good health to you.
Thank you. Thank you. That's what I require. Yes. To be helpful, I need to be healthy myself.
Have the
So
new year
thank you so much.
coming, 2022.
Yes.
We
Happy New
wish
Year. Merry
each
Christmas.
and every one of you a very happy new year and a very healthy new year.
Thank you.
So
Thank you. Thank
we
you.
are having a program at the school on the 31st and 1st. We're not putting it on WhatsApp because we're restricting the numbers because of COVID. So those of you who are interested, please contact Swati or Aniket and give your names. because we're having a very nice program at the end, going on from the 31st evening right up to the 1st sometime in the morning, 10:30 in the morning. And we're doing it the way Mama Nize wanted it, with the cutting of the cake, the lighting of the candles, a lot of song, music, prayers, you know, lots of nice things happening. So kindly contact Aniket and Swati and you'll get to know more about it. We have a program, one more, which is coming up before the new year, a Thursday satsang. Kindly project that, Swati. So please log in at the same time, 6:30 next Thursday.
Yes, ma'am.
Will you just project that, Swati?
Yes, yes, yes.
The shields were projected. And if any of you would like to say something, we have been having these online satsangs non-stop from May last year, the whole of this year, and we have not repeated a single speaker. So, you know, we don't charge for this. Kindly tell your friends, and it would be very nice if you can get more and more people to come. One more thing is, from the first, we have a newsletter, and Ramesh, Veena Sateesh, and Deepthi, they are in charge. They are the editorial committee, and they are in charge of the newsletter. So if there's anything you would like to share, any articles you would like to send, kindly do so, because we would like feedback. See, we are getting extremely good speakers, as you can see, and we would like you to tell more and more people. And we would also like suggestions as to who, you know, what kind of programs you want. If you have some good speakers, kindly let us know, and we will include them. All right. So thank you, everyone. Good night, and hope to see you next Thursday. Okay. We have a very interesting speaker. Next Thursday, she will be singing also. Her name is Rama. And Rama is someone who will tell us about her journey in music. She sings very well, so I'm sure it's not only talking, but singing also. So Rama Srinivasan is our speaker next week. Thank you so much. Good night, and look forward to seeing you for the next satsang and at the school on New Year's. Goodbye.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Good night, Veena.
Good night. Good night.
And Merry Christmas, everyone.
Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to everybody.
Yes. A very, very Merry Christmas. All the best. And a happy New Year. We'll be meeting before that. We have